Very welcome our guest, the ambassador of Switzerland, and another special guest that we are going to introduce later. So before listening to the important messages from our panel, let me briefly explain about our event today. Science and Technology Society Forum, STS Forum, was established 20 years ago as a platform to promote innovation and exploring new solutions to problems arising from the application of science and technology to the great challenges faced by humanity today. So in this particular year is the second in Latin American and Caribbean countries in a post-COVID era, and I ask respectfully to Mr. Marcelo Ebrard if he could be so kind to give us a message and to explain the purpose of all of this important movement, and thank you very much for trust in all of us. You have the floor.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Well, occasion for practice my English. Thank you for that. So thank you very much for your presence, STS Forum Vice President, our dear friends in Tokyo. Just to say that this event is one of the most important events that we have organized until now. Why? Because 3 years ago, in a meeting between the chief of state of all the Latin American and Caribbean countries, for the first time, as far as I can remember, the top priority in the program approved by them in the meeting was science and technology. First time in history, before the pandemic. And it was approved because one idea or one question, which is why in our region we are experiencing a decrease in the figures of patents and technological developments. This is a very, very serious issue. That's why the chief of state, by them, ordered us to organize the Science and Technology Society Forum in Latin and Caribbean region for the first time in history. So we started to work several years ago, following this indication, this instruction, and we had a year ago the first STS Forum Latin American and Caribbean one, but by digital means. Zoom was by then the technology that we used. Well, today is a personal forum with the presence of very important people, which is today with us. Thank you, all of you, because everyone represents a territory, a scientific innovation, or enterprises promoting the innovation. That's why we invited Carol Slim and other entrepreneurs, startups, which are between us today. Thank you very much, all of you. This is a very important forum with the main question, which is how to pass from dialogue, knowledge, discussions, to action. How can we organize our countries in the short terms in order to foster the technology and scientific innovation? Well, we passed through the pandemic. Which is the main lesson? If we in Latin America cannot develop proper scientific establishment and networking to develop vaccines or treatments, for instance, against the COVID or other risks in the future, we are going to be left behind. We are not going to have the technology that others developed at the same time. We need to do this by ourselves, whatever the cost. Right now, not forget the lessons. Was just a year ago, a year and a half ago. And we can work together with the scientific community all over the world. That's why Science and Technology Society Forum, which invite scientific community from all over the world, in the same room than enterprises and public agencies, which decide which is going to be the public policy in each country. One of the, maybe the unique forum in the world that you have such a community. Today we have senators, congressmen, also invited or interested in science and technology. So we have also the representation of our caucus. It's such an important issue that everyone is represented here. That's a great idea that had Koji Omi, dear friend of Mexico. He was in 2018 in Mexico, in the inaugural ceremony of President Obrador, to support this initiative. Very dear friend of Mexico. What he proposed several years ago, 20 years ago, in Japan. Let's organize different communities to make networking, to accelerate the knowledge between us, and to find out solutions to our problems. What's the original idea of this forum? That's why it's so important today. I would like to say thank you again, STS Forum. Thank you, all of you. And I would like to give the welcome to the governor of Quintana Roo, Madam Lezama, because she, thank you very much for joining us today, because she is proposing her state for the next STS Forum next year, the only governor present today. So thank you very much. And thank you very much, all of you. This is going to be a very exciting day. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Secretary. So, as you mentioned before, we would like to also to thank and to say welcome to Senator Beatriz Paredes. It's a pleasure to see you here. Congressman Javier López Casarín, Gustavo Madero, and so many important guests here. And we appreciate, I understand that we are online with Japan, so if you could be so kind, Professor Komiyama, to give us your message. I hope everything is online, okay? So if you could be so kind to start the link. Are you ready? Melba, ¿estamos? ¿Sí? Ready, Professor.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Chairman. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clear.
Okay. Dear Secretary Bragg, dear Minister Hayashi, Excellencies, distinguished guests, colleagues and friends, as Chairman of the STS Forum, it is my great honor to participate today, though remotely, in order to welcome you to the STS Forum, Latin America and the Caribbean High-Level Conference. This momentous occasion marks a significant milestone in the history of our organization. As we gather in person for the first time in Mexico City. For those unfamiliar with the STS Forum, we are a global community of leaders in policy making, research and science, and industry, united in our efforts to address the most pressing science and technology issues facing humankind.
Recording in progress.
we have been dedicated to providing a unique platform for discourse and collaboration, sustainable and equitable future. Despite the challenges posed by the pandemic, we were able to hold our 19th annual meeting in person last October, attracting over 1,000 participants from 83 countries, regions, and international organizations to Kyoto, Japan. As chairman of this truly global movement, I am committed to fostering a new direction for our discussion, one that emphasizes the importance of integrating different areas of knowledge in order to address the severe issues that require our immediate attraction. The task before us is daunting, but I firmly believe that by coming together in this way, we can achieve a deeper understanding of these issues and develop effective solutions. Today, I am particularly delighted to thank our esteemed host, Secretary Ebrard, who has been an invaluable friend, council member, and contributor to the STS Forum since his very first participation in 2009 as mayor of Mexico City. It was his vision and leadership that led to the establishment of this regional STS Forum, bringing together leaders from Latin America and the Caribbean, as well as from many other countries and regions. I'm confident that this high-level conference will provide a new regional platform and network for leaders in research, academia, industry, and government to meet, exchange ideas, and collaborate in addressing our common challenges. We would be happy if, over the years, this initiative could help establish prosperous and vibrant societies based on knowledge and innovation. At the same time, I sincerely hope this will help raise the STS Forum's profile in this region, allowing many more participants in our Kyoto annual meeting. I look forward to stimulating discussions today, paving the way for a regular gathering throughout the region. Let me express my sincere congratulations to Secretary Ebrard and the State Department of the Republic of Mexico for their initiative and leadership. My gratitude to our partners, the Mexican Agency of International Cooperation for Development, the Japan External Trade Organization, JETRO, and the 900 plus attendees, surprising, for their participation and commitment. I also pledge to continue co-organizing the Latin America and the Caribbean High-Level Conference on an annual basis as we work together to build a better future for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Tomiyama, and thank you for your support. I hope you can hear you. Thank you so much. I also would like to say welcome to Minister Menabe from the Embassy of Japan in Mexico on behalf of the Minister Ambassador who is in Tokyo right now. You're very welcome. I would like to invite to Mr. Carlos Slim to take the microphone. You have the floor. Thank you.
Well, first of all, I want to thank Minister Marcelo Ebrard for inviting me, and of course the STS Forum for having me. I had the pleasure of being here last year in a panel talking about the vaccines with my very good friend Alfredo Rimoch and David Carsenovis from the National Nutrition Institute, and all the coordination we get from the Minister to help make the possibility of making the vaccines in Mexico. Well, as we all know, we live on an era that has been called in many different ways. At the end, it's an era that is based on connectivity. It's a connectivity that is allowing us to move from local to global, to be connected at any time, from anywhere, with whoever or whatever we want to be. Being an era of connectivity should be the era of inclusion. It's the era that can allow all the people to have access to education, to better health, to culture, to information, and to many other things. It was connectivity that allowed us to keep working through the pandemic. It was thanks to connectivity that we were able to keep working at distance, educating ourselves, staying informed about what was happening with the COVID, entertaining ourselves, and at the end, keep working as a society. In the pandemic, the adoption of digital innovation and technology and connectivity was accelerated by, we believe, more than 5 years from the trend that we have. To understand the huge disruptions that this era is bringing, we should only see that the biggest commercial company in the world doesn't have stores, the biggest transport company in the world doesn't have cars, the biggest touristic company in the world doesn't have hotel rooms, and the biggest society doesn't have borders, language barriers, or any type of regulations, which are the social networks. All these disruptions, as I mentioned, were accelerated through the pandemic, but it was the connectivity that allowed us to keep on going. It's also through connectivity that we see collaboration that we have never seen before during these times. The collaboration that we saw between the scientific, the medical, the academic, and all the different communities were the ones that allow us to have, in less than 1 year, several vaccines, improve protocols for treatment from the pandemic, and being able to come out from the pandemic as fast as we did as a society. I would like to share with you 2 examples of works that we have been able to be involved, and one conclusion. The first one is the possibility of doing digital education and digital training for jobs through an application that is called Aprende. And Aprende is divided in different areas, but mainly health. In the education program, we took the model of Khan Academy to make it on Spanish. Today, Khan Academy is the biggest school in the world with more than 200 million students worldwide. And doing this task in Spanish for any Hispanic community was part of the focus that we did. But taking also this model, we developed a program called Train for Jobs, when people can be trained for more than 400 job skills from very different activities. Today in these platforms, there are more than 30 million people activating themselves in training, in educating, and particularly finding job and inclusion opportunities. The second, knowing that this forum is also about innovation and patents and the type of registration, I know that Dr. Kersenovic from the National Nutrition Institute is going to be as well in this forum. He created an area specialized because innovation and patent registration is sometimes more difficult in public entities. So in the case of the National Nutrition Institute, which is one of the leading research health institutions in Latin America, together with the patronage of the institute, he built an entity that helped researchers do all the process to register their innovations. And the amount of new innovations that they are receiving
is growing every time. It's a center that also can help to work and help other entities to make this possibility grow with very big scale, together with academic institutions like the national, like the UNAM, like the National University of Mexico. And at the end, I think what the pandemic has shown us is that it's only through collaboration where we can solve the main issues that we have as a society. It's only through collaboration that we can really get scale in solving these problems. It's through telecommunications, connectivity, and particularly technology where we can really make a game-changing process for inclusion. And it's part of the responsibility that we all have, that this is what happens in this new era, and that it happens fast, and that it happens in all of our societies. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Slim. Thank you, and you're very welcome all the time. Thank you for coming. So, may I ask you, Mrs. Governor of Quintana Roo, Mara Lezama, we would like to say, asking you for to say something, some message and some salute, as Mr. Brad mentioned before. So, if you could be so kind to take the mic, we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Muchas gracias. Bueno, primero que todo agradecerte, querido Marcelo, estar aquí, estar presente. La verdad es que corrí para poder estar en esta conferencia tan importante, en este encuentro tan importante. Bueno, la invitación es que nos veamos en Cancún el próximo año. Lo platicamos Marcelo y yo, que hemos hecho un trabajo en conjunto, y nos daría mucho gusto que el próximo año estuviéramos en Cancún, estuviéramos en Quintana Roo, un estado que crece ante la adversidad, que vivimos el día 3 años de tener el primer contagio COVID, y creo que si trabajamos en conjunto en este nuevo acuerdo por el bienestar y desarrollo de Quintana Roo, que es lo que estamos haciendo en nuestro estado, una manera de gobernar diferente, a base de suelo, pero sobre todo tomándonos de la mano todas y todos, justamente lo que decía el canciller hace un momento, tomados de la mano, juntas y juntos podemos lograr cosas extraordinarias, y sobre todo en este tema tan importante como es la ciencia y la tecnología. Gracias Marcelo, gracias a todas y todos, y nos vemos en Cancún, Quintana Roo el próximo año. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias, gobernadora. Thank you very much. May I ask you, to Mrs. Kawada Mio to speak, and you have the floor, please, from Jetro. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Secretary Ebrard, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, buenos dias. Thank you very much for letting me speak in English. On behalf of Japan External Trade Organization, or JETRO, as a co-sponsor, I would like to say a few words. So, first of all, I would like to express my respect to the organizers for the effort of organizing this conference, and also thank you to the organizers for the warm reception that you just did last night. And I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the people of Mexico for support of the activities of JETRO Mexico. JETRO is a Japanese governmental organization that promotes trade and investment. And Mr. Slim was talking about connectivity, and that's exactly what we do. So we connect Japan and the rest of the world, Japan and Latin America, Japan and Mexico, through promoting trade and investment. And we also connect companies together, Japanese companies and foreign, to look for new business opportunities. And in this regard, very exciting market for Japan. Economic relations between Japan and Latin America is growing, and it's not only growing, but in case of Mexico, the Japanese manufacturing related companies are investing in the country. According to our survey that was conducted at the end of last year, many Japanese companies in Mexico are planning capital investments, with the DI for this year's operating income forecast showing an improving trend at 50.5 points, despite negative aspects such as cost increase. And another interesting positive aspect is the green transformation. So as the spread of decarbonization technologies accelerates worldwide and GX investments expands, Latin America is also shifting to renewable energy and that take advantage of its abundant resources. And they're producing and exporting green hydrogen and ammonia. And in case of Mexico, the supply chain for electric vehicles for North American market is being reviewed. So JETRO will work to create an alliance and innovation between Japanese companies and Latin American companies in these fields. And we are also working with startups and to because from now on, the concept of open innovation is going to be indispensable to solve the issues in any country, and the same is true in Japan. JETRO offices in each country will support Latin American companies interested in the Japanese and Asian market, and by creating opportunities for collaboration with Japanese companies. To advance these efforts, collaboration with relevant organizations is essential. In this region, we will work with public and private organizations related to innovation, and STS Forum is, of course, no exception. We look forward to working with all of you. In conclusion, I would like to wish today's conference fruitful and successful outcome for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Finally, I wish to introduce an eminent Mexican scientist who has successfully practiced and developed science diplomacy. It's Dr. Edmundo de Alba Alcaraz, who is sitting here. And he has a PhD in physics from the National Autonomous University of Mexico. He held senior positions in the Ministry of Public Education in Mexico, in other ministries, and was part of the team that founded the National Council of Science and member of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, and was appointed in 2007 as Vice President of Working Group Impact, Adaptation and Vulnerability, who won the Nobel Prize. I ask that we give him a warm applause and a recognition of his lifelong achievements and admirable contribution of science.
I appreciate very much your kindness, and I only say muchas gracias, many thanks, domo arigato.
This concludes with our opening session, and I kindly ask our authorities to take their places in the first row while we watch a video to introduce our first panel, Science and Technology for Disaster Risk Management. So this is an original proposal that Mr. Raft suggests to all of us with Madame Serizawa and the headquarters of STS to share successful experiences from Latin America, and in this particular case, you're going to see this seismic alarm. So, can you put the video, please?
Son las 7 de la mañana, aquí a las 7 de la mañana y 19 minutos 42 segundos. Sigue temblando un poquitito, pero pues vamos a esperarlo con una gran tranquilidad. Vamos a esperar un segundo para poder hablar. Vamos a esperar un segundo. 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 Vamos a esperar un segundo.
moderno del mundo, inclusive. Si hubiéramos tenido una herramienta como es el sistema de alerta sísmica mexicano, hubiéramos tenido resultados diferentes en cuanto a pérdida de vidas humanas.
Pues ambas instituciones surgen, hablando del CIES y del CENAPRED, surgen por motivo de los sismos de 1985. Se crea el CIES, que son los desarrolladores de la alerta sísmica, en 1987, y en 1988 se crea el CENAPRED.
¿Cómo poder evitar esta tragedia? Y de ahí surgió la impronta de hacer un sistema de telemetría, como el que hemos hecho en la universidad, y que tuviera cualidades pues, que permitieran advertir con anticipación. O sea, ya habíamos hecho algunos ensayos de telemetría en la universidad con sensores cercanos a Guerrero.
En el caso de la alerta sísmica mexicana, el CIRES tiene instalados 97 sensores que cubren desde la costa de Jalisco, por Puerto Vallarta, hasta la costa de Oaxaca y por Salina Cruz. Y están básicamente a lo largo de esa costa, con algunos sensores tierra adentro, en Guerrero, algunos en Oaxaca, que permite tener una mayor cobertura de detección.
Pues consideramos que era pertinente estar en el lugar donde empieza el temblor, ganarle la velocidad del viaje de la onda sísmica, que es muy lenta comparada con la velocidad de radio. Las ondas de radio llegan antes, y si logramos determinar que el sismo que iniciaba era un sismo peligroso, pues con eso ya teníamos la posibilidad de anticipar el mensaje para que la gente se protegiera. Son pocos segundos, pero hacen mucha diferencia. Se ha desarrollado desde 1993, cuando empezó el sistema, ya teníamos unos criterios de análisis, unos algoritmos que se denominan, para poder ver si la evolución del sismo indica que va a ser un sismo fuerte.
La forma en que se hace es por ingenieros mexicanos, toda la parte de los algoritmos, el software, las comunicaciones, la electrónica, es ingeniería mexicana. La alerta es lo que busca, la parte de la ingeniería del alertamiento sísmico, entre sus objetivos, es primero de que sea confiable, que esté el mayor tiempo disponible para la población y que sea lo más rápido posible para con ello tener el mayor tiempo de actuación ante un gran sismo.
Y si de esos que inician se determina que el sismo debe ser advertido, las ciudades que están captando estos datos toman el control de las radiodifusoras, de las televisoras, de los altoparlantes más recientemente que pusieron gobiernos de la ciudad para optimar la posibilidad de difundir.
Todo este proceso es automático, no hay intervención de alguna persona que esté operando el sistema. Con esto nos da, en el caso de la Ciudad de México, alrededor de 20 segundos hasta 120 segundos de oportunidad.
Cuando se diseñó el sistema, el sonido de la alerta sísmica, participaron un grupo de especialistas, de psicólogos, de antropólogos, para hacer el diseño. Y es lo que actualmente conocemos con el sonido característico de la alerta sísmica. Mucha gente opina que se debería de cambiar ese sonido, porque ese sonido lo identifican y crea ansiedad, crea crisis, nerviosismo.
Desde que empezó a funcionar el sistema en 1991 hasta la fecha, hemos podido medir del orden de 11.500 sismos. Los más importantes han podido ser alertados y hemos emitido del orden de 180 avisos de alerta de muchos años de trabajo continuo. Entonces no es una tarea sencilla.
En realidad el sistema de alerta sísmica mexicano es reconocido a nivel internacional. Fue el primer sistema de alerta que se hizo público en el mundo.
Si la gente sabe qué hacer en caso de escuchar la alerta, pues ya el círculo virtuoso se cierra, porque algo podrá ayudar a que no se tengan pérdidas de vida, porque esta es básicamente la misión del alertamiento, que la gente pueda salvar la vida.
Todos tenemos una gran responsabilidad, como autoridades en lo que nos corresponda hacer en el ámbito de nuestras competencias, pero también como sociedad. No se puede concebir a la protección civil sin la participación ciudadana, sin el involucramiento real de la sociedad.
I suggest a big applause. So, if you so kind, Mr. Secretary, to come to the first row with the rest of the members of the panel, to ask to the next panel to start on time. Science and technology for disaster risk management. So please have your seats. Thank you. Panel, but explain that the chairperson that we suggest for this panel was Claudia Herrera Melgar, and she couldn't take her air flight yesterday evening in Panama, and we didn't have any choice to invite another person in that moment because it was midnight yesterday, so it was a little bit difficult. But we have the privilege to have to Mr. Juan Manuel Espinosa Aranda, General Director of Seismic Department, and Enrique Guevara Ortiz, Director General of the National Center for Disaster Prevention, CENAPRED, Iwasaki Eiji, Vice President Representative from Tanaka Akihiko, President Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, and Juan Carlos Diaz Garmendia. Thank you for coming. I would like to ask to Juan Manuel Espinosa Aranda, General Director of Seismic Recording and Instrumentation Center, if you could be so kind to take the floor. Thank you. Sí, está bien.
Good morning. First of all, thank you for this important invitation and to be here with a distinguished guest. Mr. Chancellor Marcelo Ebrard, thank you for your trust and your support over decades and in your multiple roles of public office. CITES will turn 37 years all time in this summer, and while we have many success, we still have a lot to do, and your support, Professor Ebrard, is still a key for us to maintain continuity and overcome new challenge. We have some questions about one of the great challenges is how to ensure that this effort is socialized and are to the greatest benefit for the population. Earthquakes are a particular nature. They are sudden, propagate at great speed, and can be really devastating. The development of socialization for early warning system that can actually benefit the population requires truth. And this trust results from decades of work with precision, reliability, availability, and resilience. At Ceres, we have understood that sustained positive results are the basis to assure the people response to an early warning in case of earthquakes. Reliability has also been essential to expand the reach of these systems since 1993, evolving from AM and FM and TV signals to wide alerts. Sometimes our work has contributed with social benefit to other impact, but less visible channels such as public policies that help in improving cities, design and construction codes and disaster prevention protocols. Challenge remain to ensure continuity and sustaining financial support through administration who may not always have the same perspective of the experience managing risk, and in particular land and low frequency risks such as the earthquakes. How has been possible to create an advance in this process to helping science and applying science and technology for the benefit of the population? This is a complex question because we work with the scientific method and research translating complex physical phenomena into useful tools. To summarize, we have to advance in this process. I will focus on three key aspects: the implementation of accelerometer network in Mexico City, the world-class research and development of a scale driven by Mexican scientists and engineers, and the implementation of the first and very successful early warning system. Let me explain. The accelerometer network was implemented after 1985 earthquake. The installation of 81 metering site was essential to understand the response of construction to major earthquakes. Close to 7,500 public records from close to 300 earthquakes have been shared with academia and engineering specialists in the Institute for Building Safety Mexico City. These have influenced the construction standards as a key of reduce the population vulnerability. In terms of innovation, to support the network, we developed capacity to maintain and grow the system, designing spare parts and new equipment to eventual replacement. Ceres has developed world-class research in engineering capabilities, contributing to the development of the Mexican scientific community. This capacity eventually led to the design and the implementation of Mexican's seismic alert system, which is probably the most popular achievement. It integrates 96 meter sites capable to forecast earthquake range. This seismic has registered close to 12,000 earthquakes every 30 years. Over 30 years, it has issued close to 180, as we saw in this film, public alerts for strong earthquakes. On average, it provides 60 seconds for people to go to safety zones and react and enhance safety protocols. On average, the accelerometer network and the seismics developed by Ceres are now considered in public policies because the direct they have provided to Mexico population. From point 3, from your perspective now, that multi-hazard alert has been discussed, will be possible to develop new earthquake prevention some schemes that can be applied in all countries. Seismic prevention schemes have to be adapted from one region to another because vulnerability change with geological and social scenarios. Cities may be too close or too far from epicenters and the risk will be different. In Mexico, for example, we have a favorable distance between the population and the seismic regions, which is an advantage. This may not apply for other cities, but there are still multiple benefits for the region can capture. Understanding hazards through accelerometers can help to provide construction regulation and standards. Building instrumentation can also be optimized structural health. Automatizations to shoot down the metro energy generation and many other aspects. Defining risk atlas to understand the social and social risk will result in better response protocols. Thank you again for the opportunity to share some of our experience, and I hope our experience can be useful to advancement of regional disaster policies. Thanks a lot.
Hi, good morning. On behalf of Claudia Herrera, I'm gonna try to mix a little things for a while. Since I'm the head of Amexit, I think I'm entitled. So I'm gonna use this opportunity just to have a suggestion. Why don't we send some questions, and whoever wants to answer can just take the microphone, and we can settle some sort of a dialogue instead of maybe lectures. Do you agree, panel? Okay, so let me just present the panel again. From the Recording and Instrumentation Center, Juan Manuel Espinosa Aranda, the General Director, and also Enrique Guevara Ortiz, Director General of the National Center for Disaster and Prevention, SENAPRED. Mr. Wasake Eiji, Vice President representing Professor from Tanaka Akiko, President of the Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, you're very welcome. And Juan Carlos Diaz Garmendia, CEO in Biodroid MX. If I may, I would like to begin this panel with maybe a question that anyone could answer. From the Seismic Recording and Instrumentation Center, how has it been possible to create and advance in the process of applying science and technology for the benefit of the population? And for everybody, from your perspective, now that multi-hazard alerts are being discussed, will it be possible to develop new earthquake prevention schemes that can be applied in all countries?
Well, I think Mexico is an example where science and technology has been applied to protect and save lives. As we already watched the video, we have this earthquake alert warning system. It depends in each country, depends on the distance where the epicenters occur and where the population is established. So the farther is the more time we have in advance to be aware if an earthquake happened. If you remember, well, Mexican people will remember, in 2017, there was a big earthquake near to Mexico City. So we have only very few seconds in advance to receive the alert warning system. And we have some weeks before a very far earthquake in Oaxaca. So we have around 1.5 minutes in advance to feel in Mexico City the movement. So we can share this experience to the world, but it depends on the condition of each country, where the seismic areas are, and to determine how long we will have in advance to receive the warning. Also, you mentioned about multi-hazard early warning system. It is very important to use only one system to warn about different threats and different hazards. So people can recognize only one system, so they don't have to learn one system for tsunami, one system for earthquakes, one system for cyclones. So it is very important to integrate all hazards. So multi-hazards early warning system is the best choice to warn people. And also it reduces cost. You don't need different systems, so you have only one, and people recognize it, and it's easier for population. So the relation with the society is very important. As I mentioned, yes, I was the one on the video that you saw. I mentioned that you cannot conceive civil protection if there is no participation of society. In this regard, early warning system, one of the very important components is the participation of the society. So they should know what to do when a warning or when they hear an alert. I will ask you, what will you do if we hear right now the earthquake warning system? Do you know what to do? I will say that we should stay where we are. This is a very solid building. It has a structural analysis that like Mr. Juan Manuel Espinosa mentioned. So this is a safe building. There are many people here. If we all run through there is going to be a mess. So if we stay here, I will say, I just already saw the columns, I already see everything. There is nothing above us that could hit if it falls. So I will say the best thing, and you have to decide on each place where you are. If you are at home, if you are at the movie, if you are in a restaurant, if you are on the street. So you have to know how to proceed on each case. So I think I extended too much, sorry.
¿Alguien más que quiera comentar alguna cosa respecto de esta pregunta? De una vez, pregunta el canciller si hay otro sistema. In English? Oh, sorry. Do we have another alert systems besides the one from the earthquake that is in place right now? Por favor.
Let's try. We have the best conditions to make this earthquake early warning system in the world. In Japan, they have a lot of instruments installed around your country, but they have a lot of failures, active failures, a lot of earthquakes in the land and in the sea, front of the Japan coast. Then the best condition in the technically speaking is Mexico, because we have earthquake coming from far away from the coast and comes to the city that generates amplification, and many disasters occur, we know. But it's a complex aspect. In our experience is good, it's an excellent result, but in other countries, due to this relative condition between the vulnerable regions and the epicentral earthquake regions, it is so close you have no time. In Mexico, have one of the better time in the systems about earthquake early warning.
As far as I know, well, Japan has also an early warning system for earthquakes, also Taiwan, China, and Romania. There are only very few countries that have. Peru is trying to install, they are working right now in installing. Also in the United States, particularly in California region, they already have, but it is not published. It is not, well, it is working, but it is not published to the people. Only they are testing, and they are not sure if they should do it in a public way or not. Aha.
Now, we also have other kinds of vulnerabilities to earthquake. Besides earthquakes, we have cyclones, we have volcanoes. Is it possible that from a governmental level we can generate preventive processes so that we can mitigate the effects of these problems? And how does science and technology currently contribute to that point?
Sorry, again me. Well, of course, there are many different hazards and threats. In Mexico, we recognize 6 different phenomena: hydrometeorological, geological, chemical and technological, socio-organizative, astrological also, and I forgot the other one. Well, science and technology contribute to get knowledge about this natural phenomenon and make prognosis. I will mention some examples. In the year 2000, it was established in Mexico the early warning system for tropical cyclones. Before that early warning system, the average of death each cyclone was around 300 people dead. After that system was installed, it reduced to only 1, 2, or none. So this is an example of how working together, government, society, universities, private companies, sharing the same objective, it is easy to get results and everyone is benefit. I will mention another example regarding volcanoes. Mexico knows very well Popocatépetl volcano that right now is very active with a lot of explosions every day. In the year 1999, the monitoring system detected an important increase in the activity. A big dome, lava dome, was increasing, and 2 days before the big explosion, scientists and the scientific asesor, Comité Científico Asesor, Comité Científico, Scientific, okay, you understand me. Says that in 2 days there were high probabilities of a big explosion, so thousands of people were evacuated, and that happened exactly as was prognosed. So this is an example of how science and technology works. So it is very important to support these institutions like CIRES, institutions like Senapred. And so are some examples of how we can contribute to different natural or man-made phenomena.
Thank you. ¿Alguien más? Yeah, I have one more question. So, Mr. Iwasaki, do you consider that there is a long and broad path for international cooperation to be a determining factor in achieving goals outlined in the Sendai Framework for Action? And being efficient while getting the benefits to the population. Can we please hear your remarks on this and maybe something else that you want to say? Please.
His Excellency Marcelo Ebrard Casaubon, Minister for Foreign Affairs of Mexico, Chair, distinguished and participant, it's a great honor for me to have this opportunity to make these remarks today. First, I'd like to express my deepest condolences to the people affected by the Turkish-Syrian earthquake. This year marks the 100th anniversary of Great Kanto earthquake that claimed the lives of more than 100,000 people, especially in Tokyo, Japan. The Great East Japan earthquake in March 2011 is also unforgettable. Once again, we are keenly aware of the importance of disaster prevention. Today, I would like to say a few words on the theme of disaster risk reduction, hereinafter referred to as DRR, and how JICA is using the benefit of science and technology through international cooperation based on the JICA's vision of leading the world with trust. JICA's sectoral framework defined as JICA Global Agenda positioned DRR to contribute to human security and sustainable development. The Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction, adopted at the UN World Conference in 2015, emphasizes investment in DRR before disasters, as well as build back better in post-disaster phase to avoid repeated damage from disasters. To make these efforts more effective, science-based DRR considering the probability of recurrence of disaster are necessary. It's important to clarify the mechanism of disaster hazard and vulnerability. For this purpose, the use of science and technology such as climate change prediction, big data, satellite technology is becoming increasingly essential. Cooperation in DRR between Mexico and Japan dates back to 100 years, when the Mexican people kindly provided us with a large amount of donation after a Great Kanto earthquake. Based on this, after the 1985 earthquake in Mexico, the National Center for Disaster Prevention, called SENAPRE, was established with the support from Japan as an institution to promote scientific research and human resource development. Subsequently, SENAPRE's function and capacity was strengthened through technical cooperation with the participation of Japanese experts. Through this process, the relationship of trust between Mexicans and Japanese was further strengthened. From 2015, using cutting-edge science and technology, University of both countries and SENAPRE started a new project, namely the project for hazard assessment of large earthquakes and tsunamis in the Mexican Pacific coast for disaster mitigations. Two countries' researchers examined the earthquake mechanism and tsunami disaster risks. The cooperation in Mexico is a successful model on the establishment of Center of Science and Technology with the human resource development. In addition, JICA's Science and Technology Corporation emphasizes social impact. For example, in Mexico, same as in Japan, as you see, earthquake alert system has already been developed and made available to the public. Thus, it's important to apply the developed science and technology to actual society. For this reason, JICA believes that each country can fulfill its primary responsibility to protect its citizens when there is an institution that applies and disseminates science and technology to society. Mexico has a history of sharing the outcome of its cooperation with Japan in Latin America and Caribbean. And JICA continues to cooperate and scale out our achievement in other countries so that human networks expand and strengthen. DRR is a foundation of sustainable development, and development and utilization of science and technology is essential to DRR. The SDS Forum is an important opportunity to strengthen the relationship of trust among the stakeholders who develop science and technology and apply them to society. I hope that science and technology will further contribute to human security and sustainable development through the formation of human networks in Latin America and the Caribbean and around the world. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much for your remarks. Now, Mr. Juan Carlos Diaz Garmendia, would you like to share some remarks with us? You want to come here or take it there? Okay.
With the venia of our Chancellor, personalities, and honorable audience, we live in unique times in the human history, and previous formulas has no longer served us. Consciousness, understanding, cooperation, deep communication, and the search for a common God should be our global guidance. Education, science, technology, and innovation should be the fundamental pillar of the development of the nations of Latin America and the Caribbean. And governments cannot do it alone, because innovation expires in seconds. That's why the citizens of each of our tranches should seek to support this path. That's why InBioDroid, my company, entered the largest contest robotic in the human history. The Anavatar X Prize, All Nippon Airways together with X Prize, laid out a $10 million challenge in 2018 to build an Anavatar robot that could see, hear, smell, talk, and scroll and interact. A robot that could save lives in natural disasters, epidemics, explorations, and risky works without putting human lives in danger. It was obvious that a $10 million contest could be, it's obvious that for $10 million, the best of the world will be in the contest. What can a small company can do? We never made a robot before. We were two people, just two people. We have no money, no resources. Many people told us, you are crazy, you are nuts. You cannot compete against Japan, Europe, USA, and the whole world. There are teams with decades of research and development, teams with all the resources. With this support, with the support of this government, with the complete innovation ecosystems, and with alliance between countries, research centers, universities, companies, and also governments. We did what our daddy tells us. Try. Fight until you make it. We did not make just one robot. We make two, and in less than 3 years. We put 20 times less money and 5 times less time in these two robots than the rest of the teams. In each initiative of iconic people or institutions like MIT, Stanford, and Carnegie Mellon, to mention a few, remained by the road. Out of nothing, we leapt to the seventh place in the world. In the final in LA in November 2022. Okay. How we did it? First, we took crazy people, but mainly for our young people. I have to emphasize this. Our young people are our treasure. Latin America and the Caribbean have an enormous talent and a brave heart that is not have in the rest of the world like here. Our young people are hungry and ambitious to be someone, to achieve something great. And here is the proof. Prometheus, or robot, can save lives. They are designed for rescue in disasters or of any kind. But now they can save lives and prevent contagions in epidemics in absolutely efficient way. They can also avoid deaths in risky jobs to many people in the world. And also, we are preparing to bring an essential tool in the colonization of the outer space. This is the way to save lives and also change lives in Latin America and the Caribbean. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have a question from the audience, but unfortunately we ran out of time. So we will find a way to give you, it's for all of you in the panel, so we will try to give you the question and have a way to answer it maybe electronically in our webpage. But for now, we're going to close this table, Science and Technology for Disaster Risk Management. We thank you very much for being here, panel, also you distinguished guests. And we're going to get ready for our next panel. Thank you very much. Let me just take a picture with you.